Well, hello, thank you for joining me today again on the Church History Trail. You're very welcome to the programme. And where we find ourselves today is at Lisleen Methodist Church. And I'm going to read the board out to you. It's not far from Castlederg. It says Lisleen Methodist Church, founded 1789. Now, in 1768, John Smith preached at Macrolock outside Derg Bridge, which is now called Castlederg. And amongst his hearers was a Mrs. Margaret Johnson of Lisleen. And, of course, the village of Lisleen is just down the road a wee bit. But I'm going to read a wee plaque out to you here because this church here was founded in 1998. So it says, "To the glory of God, this stone was laid by Mrs. Marjorie Smith, the most senior member of Lisleen congregation, on the 20th of February 1998. And you can see inside there, I actually know a relative of that lady, Mrs. Marjorie Smith. But John Wesley preached in a yard here in 1771, and a Mrs. Brown of Creevy and her two sons were converted, George and Hugh, and they were to have a profound influence on Margaret Johnson, which led to her conversion. And she then opened her home for the worship of God and provided hospitality for the preachers. And John Wesley himself preached here and referred to Miss Johnson as the shining light that shineth more unto a perfect day, and as a mother in Israel. And when the church was erected, a plaque that you see here was placed on the Lisleen chapel with the following inscription. And so I've wrote this down because it's hard to read on the slab there. It says, "This house was built AD 1789 for the worship of God by the direction of Mr. Nebuchadnezzar Lee, founded upon the ground of Mrs. Margaret Johnson's dwelling house and compliment of her memory." So where the church is actually built here, of course, it replaced the original church. And the original church was 1789, and this one was 1998. But John Wesley actually preached on this spot where the church is actually built. So fantastic. But also, he stayed in Margaret Johnson's home, and I'm going to show you what's left of Margaret Johnson's home. Fantastic that it's still standing. But before I do, I want to show you the countryside here. But amazing that the wee house is still standing. Now it is a ruin, but fantastic that it's still there and you can see it. And she entertained the preachers, looked after the preachers and fed them and whatnot. They would have stayed in the house, obviously. And the Reverend John Wesley was at the house as well. And she looked after the Reverend John Wesley. So fantastic connection here with the Reverend John Wesley. Absolutely brilliant. And so this is the side of the church. Amazing to think that Wesley preached there. And now there's a church there. So I'm going to take you in and show you this. I hope you enjoy this. That was actually the Temperance Hall up there. The old Temperance Hall. But I'm going to take you in and show you Mrs. Margaret Johnson's old house. This is it here, where Wesley stayed. Great to have this, isn't it? Absolutely brilliant. Look at that. Big connection there with John Wesley. Wee modest home, of course, in its day. That's the outbuildings. So I'll let you see inside here. Isn't that amazing? Look at the stairs and all. Absolutely fantastic. Amazing to think that John Wesley was here. But this is Margaret Johnson's house, and she was converted to the Lord through the Methodist movement. That's the side of the building. And I'll maybe show you the mountains here before we go. This is the Spurren Mountains. You can see them there in the distance. You could be forgiven for thinking they're the Mourne Mountains, but we're not near Newcastle. We're near Castledurg here in the Spurrins. This wee building here has seen better days as well. Obviously, these were outhouses. And that's for the livestock. But amazing that wee house is still standing. I'm not sure what this implement is. That's a pitchfork. So there you go. Isn't that amazing? Absolutely fantastic. So thanks for watching, and God bless.